Okay, we're going to start extracting our entities from a random blog post and get those node references, i.e. Our Wikipedia URLs and other node reference URLs that Google likes as trusted sources. So I'm just on a random blog here. It is a website design agency, and really we can pick any blog article. So I'm just going to pick this one, what to look for when hiring a website designer. So if you haven't already done so, you're going to want to make a copy of the Schema article template. The link is in the slides, so you can take that template and plug it into your favorite Schema markup template editor. Either schema.org has one, and I believe that has migrated over from the Google data structured testing tool, or the rich snippet one will work as well. So just copy that over and you can start to work on your inputs for the different schema input types. And let's take a look. So we have 3 different methods to cover the Google Natural Language API, topical relevance, and my favorite is text razors. So what I want to do is just copy and paste all of the relevant content. So I've got to be careful here just to stop at the end of the blog article. And let's take a look. So I'm over at cloud.google.com/natural-language. This is the NLP API from Google. And if you hit analyze, you'll see a little checkbox here. I am not a robot. And it will come up with lots of data. So anything that is highlighted in a different color here, it has identified as a entity, which is good. So you can see there is lots of entities in the copy. And if you scroll all the way down here, you can see essentially what it's labeled each entity as. So other, which is usually just a thing, a type of entity. It can be a person, it can be an event. Usually we see organization here, work of art. Essentially that one, it probably got wrong, so it's still learning. Consumer goods, shopping carts. The main thing that we want to pay attention to here is if it's given us any Wikipedia articles. So there is one here, but let's talk about salience first. So salience is a score that it gives as far as relevance. So the key entity, or what I'd like to call the top level entity here, the one that has been placed in number 1 position, is because this particular entity website is the most important entity as far as what Google has understood. And it has given it a salience score of 0.22. So this is hyper relative and super important for your topical relevance. And I would even go as far as searching out 2 or 3 other top ranking articles and just see what their top level entity is for that blog post if it is not placed in number 1. So again, just to explain this a little bit further, this article is about hiring a website designer. So essentially, if I didn't see website or website design in the number 1 entity place by its salient score, I would be a little bit concerned about that. So you can also see here that website designer is number 4. With a higher salient score as well. So a couple of things to pay attention to there. The salient score is important, how many entities or related entities, and as well as the category. So the last tab in the NLP tab here is categories. And you can see that we have internet and telecom, web services, web design and development, and a confidence score, which is almost perfect. So that is great. We've nailed down our topical relevance and we've got the right category. So we could always expand on entities, but I'm hoping to nail down a lot of relevance with my JSON LD schema by doing that node referencing. So what I want to do is get all of the wiki data links, or Wikipedia links is another one, or mreads for each one of these entities that Google has identified from the article, and then use those in my SameAs schema. So it's done a great job of identifying the entities. However, it doesn't have a lot of data as far as the Wikipedia articles or mreads or Wikidata URLs itself. So you can see this one, and this is where we have to use our brains a little bit. So as far as Calic, it is the name of the studio itself, Calic Studios, but not really highly relevant to our article. It's funny, but there is really no use of including that in our SameAs schema, because we wouldn't necessarily want to rank for that keyword. We would probably anyways because of the brand. So let's just move on to the next one, topical relevance here. Essentially all you have to do is create a profile login, and once you're logged in, it says it's simple. You just enter your main keyword. In this case, I'm going to use website designer, and click get data, and it does a quick load time here, approximately 25 seconds, and it gives me not only entities but phrases. So these work extremely well for your knows about section within the schema article template, and as well as relevance. So these other entities I could use in the copy, and if you scroll down a little bit further, you can see that it has given us a full output of about in mention schema with all of our SameAs links and node referencing to the particular entities that are related to that keyword. So this is where I find topicalrelevance.com, the tool, versus TextRaiser is a little bit different. This one works off of a keyword, and it does give you all of the related entities as far as your Wikipedia links and mreads as well. However, it doesn't necessarily do that from the page copy. It just uses sort of its own algorithm and gets sort of node referencing from similar keywords or phrases, right? The similar entities. But let's take a look at this. So this is one of Google's mreads, and it is the mread for web design. So you can see that the knowledge graph machine ID here equals 086DF. And that mread again is a unique identifier for the key phrase or entity web design, and it will pull up the knowledge graph panel, and as well as any other relevant URLs. So anytime we use that in our schema markup code, as far as SameAs, the way that it's been displayed here is a direct injection of just pure topical relevance. We're saying, you know, this article is about a web designer. Here is the Wikipedia page about web design, and here is the machine readable ID with a full list of links as far as relevance on what web design is. Google will take these links and scrape it and give you a ranking boost, because you're doing sort of node referencing. You're telling Google that this article is specifically about web designer, instead of having it trying to figure it out from the copy. Now, it's fairly good at doing that, but doing these source links, especially to things like Wikipedia, which is a trusted source by Google to build out its own entity database, really does prove really good ranking results. I usually equate a good schema article template to about 2 to 3, I don't know, DR 30 to 50 backlinks. If you do it correctly, and I'll just show you the TextRaiser method next, I really do see big jumps as far as rankings. Sometimes sticky pages that are on number 3 get to number 1 rankings, and other times we see a big lift. 30 plus positions is not unheard of for advanced schema for your blog articles. So having said that, let's take the TextRaiser example next. So TextRaiser, if we go to the home screen, you'll just see try the free demo off to the right here. You click that, you can get rid of the dummy text there. And again, same sort of thing. We just want to copy and paste our text and input that for analysis. Hit analyze here, and we should see an output with all of the copy broken out into individual lines, and you will see tabs underneath each line. So we can click entities here, and you'll see that we have essentially 3 source or node reference URLs that we can make use of. If I open that in a new tab, you'll see that I have the Wikipedia page for website. This is the mread here, and then Wikidata as far as the last one for website again, which is the main top level entity for our blog post. And I would just want to go through here again, utilizing my brain, the best sort of optimization tool that you have. And I wouldn't necessarily include Calic here, but I would go through and click entities for any entity links that I would want to extract from my copy or use in my schema markup. And I can use those in the about and mentions sections of the article template. So the about section, I should mention here, is a little bit of a stronger of a ranking factor than the mention section. Mentions, I would use other things that are sort of semi-related. In this case, maybe sales would go into the mentions portion, and something like a direct website designer. If we could find the entity right here, website designer, the entity for that would go in the about section. Again, a little bit more stronger as far as the sections go, and I can show you that here. So here is the about sections. So the topical relevance tool has web designer as the top level entity at the top, which is great, and then some other things as far as mentions, Bootstrap, CSS, landing pages might be a little less relevant. I would probably move web designing from mentions up into about. So you can use a combination of both tools if you like, but essentially this tool, TextRaiser, is pulling all of the entities and the node reference URLs directly from the copy, whereas this tool again is just producing them from a single keyword and sort of getting them through what's related, right? So related topics. Wix essentially might not be mentioned on this web page. I might not want to rank for that keyword, so I might not want to include it in my source code for schema markup. So getting back to this, essentially I've found a hack as far as getting things processed a little quicker. If you go through and just hit entities for the entities that you want to extract out of the sentences here, you can use Pablo's tool, SEO Ruler. He has a Chrome extension called SEO Extractor. Just hit the content tab here, and then you can get all links. And if you hit that, you'll see that copied all links to the clipboard, and then you can just open up a Google Sheets and paste all of your Wikipedia URLs and Wikidata and the mreads all into the Google Sheet, and then start building out your node reference URLs in the same manner as this. So it does take a little bit of work. Obviously 80-20 rule, we want to focus on essentially what works in schema. If you do build out your schema node reference links like this in those particular sections, also pay attention to the additional type. That is where your main top level entity should go. So in this case, probably website or the website design was a little bit down the way here. Additional type is a strong ranking signal for whatever type of keyword you want to rank for. So there is some extra information here. So you can see categories, which is good. Essentially, I usually use this sidebar here for topics. I usually put that inside of my knows about. So I can use search engine optimization, web design, knows about computing, World Wide Web, marketing, communications, digital media for sure. So I would pick through this list on the side and include that in either my keyword list in that schema article template and or the knows about section. So it's fairly in depth. You could go on forever with some of these tools with the data that it provides you with, but having said that, those key places really help give you relevance and a ranking boost. So again, additional type, about, and mentions. You want the SameAs link for all of your entities to include either the Wikipedia article, Wikidata, or a MRead. Again, the MRead is machine readable entity ID. And let's take a look at one. I think we have already, but let's just open this up. It just gives Google a ton of relevance with that knowledge panel again, and a list of results as far as anything relevant to web design. So having said that, you can always reach out to me. I am in the process of automating a sheet to make this a little bit easier as far as the extraction and writing of the code. It's a little bit cumbersome, but we find the results are there. So again, thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it, and reach out to me if you need any help. I'll be more than willing to give you an assist and work things out with you. Cheers.